Hi, Pastor David Tart here, and I welcome you to another Unlocking the Word. And today, as you may know from other podcasts I have done on Unlocking the Word, I always like to begin with a question. All right, I love that idea that we're unlocking something, not with some bold long lecture, but really with us struggling with or looking at a question. And so my question today with you on this podcast is kind of a simple question. It's a yes or no answer, which you might enjoy because I tend to get long-winded in my explanations. But the question is this: what is the only question a Christian ever has to ask? I mean, that's my question. My question is, what is the one question that a Christian never has to struggle with, ever has to answer? What is it? And you might be thinking there, well, maybe it's, does God really love us? Or maybe God love, whatever. I mean, you could probably come up with all kinds of answers to that. What's the one question Christians never have to ask? But it's none of those. It's probably one that might surprise you. And so that's what my podcast, Unlocking the Word, is going to be about. We're going to look at this wonderful reading from Matthew that really answers that question. What's the one question Christians never have to ask? All right, I'll see you on the other side as you listen to this little short encouragement to subscribe or like our channel, because that's how we grow the ministry. Really, that's how we grow the ministry, is by people liking it and subscribing it. It helps us a lot. So if you could do that, that'd be wonderful. All right, I'll see you soon. Hi, welcome to our Toward the Dawn channel, and especially to Unlocking the Word. I'm so glad that you're listening or viewing this podcast. And I want to invite you to like it, share it, subscribe to it. Not because we're looking for numbers, because that doesn't matter to us at Toward the Dawn, but we are looking for as a group of people who just absolutely love the Word and who love to dialogue about it. So be sure to comment your insights into the Word for the day or to something I've said. Feel free to disagree, or feel free to fill in the blanks of something you think I missed. And we will have a wonderful time working through these wonderful texts. And of course, we're going to keep our channel and our podcast safe. We're not going to allow for abusive language, hateful language. This is going to be a podcast that's all about respect and about coming together to embrace what God is speaking to us. So anyway, thank you for listening, and let's do the Unlocking the Word for today. Okay, I guess you want to know what is the one question that Christians never have to ask. Question is this: do I have purpose? I have to ask that. Because the answer is really simple. Yes. That's the answer. Yes, you do. I mean, you have to ask it, because the reason why you don't have to ask it is because when it comes to being a Christian, we have a purpose, and that is to follow Christ. That's it. You want to know what the purpose of your life is? Well, yeah. Well, it's simple. Follow Christ. I mean, a lot of people struggle with that question. What is my purpose? I just feel so empty inside. I don't have a reason to get up in the morning. Life is just so mundane, or life is just
going through the questions. Our life, going through the day. Life is just, living, basic kind of lifestyle. And I just feel like all I ever do is work, or all I ever do is that, whatever. I mean, people honestly struggle with that question. What is the purpose of life? Why are we here? And for Christians, uh, we don't ask that because we're baptized. And when we're baptized, we become children of God, and we were given the call by Jesus to follow him. I mean, let's look a little bit more into this story. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Okay, we're back into Matthew, and Matthew has now become my favorite gospel because it's amazing gospel. I mean, it's when you get into it, you just really see a lot of richness and depth in it that really opens up my eyes, your eyes, to a way of looking at life and a way of looking at others, and helping us to really live the life that God intends for us. Matthew is so rich. And one thing that I love Matthew for, and we see that in our text today, is that we have this rootedness in the Old Testament. I mean, Matthew wants to make sure everybody knows that Jesus was an accident. Jesus wasn't just a fluke of history, right person at the right time type thing. But no, his story is rooted in the Old Testament story. And we have this interesting thing that happens. John the Baptist gets arrested, which was a faith crisis. It was a downer. Because if you remember, John the Baptist's purpose was to prepare the way for Jesus. And you would think that someone who prepared the way would be around there for the whole story, right? I mean, John the Baptist would get to see how this would end. Why would John be arrested? I'm not going to go back into the story. And it's a really powerful story about how he got arrested, but it was a faith crisis. People began to do the old if God thing, the if God questions or if God statements. And you know what I'm talking about. If God is all powerful, why does God allow evil in the world? If God is really breaking into the world with the new reign of God, why is John being arrested? I mean, you can do the if God questions all day long. And we do. A lot of people don't follow Christ because God doesn't seem relevant. God doesn't seem like God keeps God's end of the bargain, and so they say, I'm not going to follow Jesus because blah, 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 blah. We have all kinds of excuses for not following Jesus. And we can see this faith crisis, happening. John gets arrested. It's a real downer. It's coming at a very dangerous time. If they're going to arrest John the Baptist, well, why aren't they going to arrest Jesus too? I mean, where do you think Jesus gets targeted? He becomes, most wanted list because he was the one who John said was the bringer of the reign of God. I mean, you can see Jesus is next, but Jesus withdraws. And on the one hand, you could see that as a surrender. You can see that as Jesus being afraid of Herod, who arrested John the Baptist. So he runs in fear. And you can see Jesus. Jesus is even afraid. He's heading to the lake. That's what Capernaum is, big, huge lake, sea. He's going to go hide in Capernaum, do some fishing, blend in, don't stand out, And everybody sees this. Oh, see, there's Jesus. He's running and hiding, going to Capernaum. Everybody knows Capernaum's a fun place. Blah blah blah. You get away from it all. Blah blah blah. But Matthew says, and again, going back to my point, no, it wasn't Jesus running and hiding. It wasn't Jesus being afraid. It's Jesus fulfilling the promise of the Old Testament. It was out of the land of Zebulun and Naphtali, on the road by the sea, across the Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. The people who sat in darkness have seen a great light. And for those who sat in the region and shadow of death, John the Baptist, light has dawned. Everybody sees crisis. Everybody sees failure. Everybody sees fear. Jesus sees his purpose. Jesus sees his purpose. Jesus sees his opportunity. He sees this as why he's there. Because even in this far-reach plan, the people in Jerusalem, they're not ready for the light. But the people in the far out reaches, the people who are forgotten, the people who feel like they're cut off from everything, on them this light of God's reign is dawning, is appearing. It's like, this is not a failure. This is opportunity. This is what God is about. This is the purpose of Jesus, is to bring the good news to all people. It's something that's been predicted. Part of God's plan has always been for the light of God's reign to be for everyone. And those who are caught up in despair and sadness, this is the good news that has come into the world. That God is not going to be the possession of a group of people who follow in the laws. But God's going to be for everyone, and God's grace is going to be. This is a dawn. It's not a sunset. This is not Jesus running in fear. This is Jesus taking the message to those who need it most. The kingdom of God has come near to you, way out here in Capernaum, by the lake, by the sea, to you who are the forgotten ones. The light is dawning. The light is coming to you. Beautiful, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? That the light of Christ, the light of good news dawns to where it's needed the most. In the places when we feel really cut off and alone, and that's when the dawn shines brightest. Beautiful. Right when we think we see defeat, God sees opportunity. Which really is how Toward the Dawn got started. I can go into the whole story. It happened during COVID, and everybody's wringing their hands. Oh no, how terrible it is. How are we going to worship? Me, I'm going, hey, let's see. It is an opportunity to do something different. That's how Toward the Dawn started. Me and Pastor Wilman, God bless him, my brother in my faith, who said, hey, let's just do something different. Let's do an online thing. I mean, it was beautiful. Anyway, so much for that advertisement. But this is where it gets to the question. The one question Christians never have to ask is, what's my purpose? Because he sees these fishermen there, right? Just doing their menial jobs, hard work. Fishing in that day and time was not hard. I mean, they didn't have very good nets. Nylon had not been invented, so those nets were always breaking. And they didn't have sonar to find out where the fish are. They had to get lucky, and sometimes they were lucky and they fed their families, and other times they didn't and they starved. I mean, that's how it was. It was weather related. It was dangerous work. The boats were creaky, leaky. They didn't have fiberglass. They just had the old creaky wooden boats. And it was tough, hard life. They were just trying to feed their families. And along comes Jesus. Says, come follow me, I'll give you something bigger. You're not going to fish with these little bitty fish, and they are very small. They couldn't catch the big ones because they'd break the net. Big fish. Now you're going to catch people. Instead of feeding families, you're going to feed the world. A beautiful image. And they left. It was always interesting they left. A lot of people said, he goes, anything could be better than this, I said, I'll take it. They felt it was an honor, because all of a sudden their purpose of their life moved from just catching fish every day and doing all this menial work, but now it becomes full of this adventure and this challenge, and the dreams of their life get bigger than just going through the motions. Now they have a purpose of helping people and bringing people into the dawn of God's love and grace and this new thing Jesus is doing. I mean, all of a sudden, their lives were full. I mean, they didn't. Jesus doesn't ask them either. He didn't ask him, "Hey, do you want to follow me? Are you interested?" He didn't give him a speech. He didn't, have a fancy pamphlet. He didn't have a YouTube video about it. He just says, "Follow me," and they did immediately. Of course, so there's a whole sermon on. I wonder what their father Zebedee thought. I guess he had to mend those debts all by himself. I mean, all their families. I mean, it was hard. I mean, it was tough. But anyway, that's a different sermon. Talk. The point I'm trying to really make with you today. You have purpose. Follow Christ. Follow Christ. Fish for people. Share the good news. Be the light that dawns in people's lives. Be the one who doesn't give up when everybody else is. Be the one who refuses to accept defeat. Instead sees and has faith that God's doing something big. Oh, we don't know what it is, but God's always going to do something big in our lives. And we don't have to struggle with what to do today. We don't. What are you going to do today? What's on your to-do list? Well, I'm just going to follow Christ today. And what does that mean? Well, there's going to be a whole Bible, a whole chapter, a whole book of the Bible called Matthew that's going to explain what that means. I don't have to kind of tell every little thing about it because we got a lot of work to do figuring out what it means to follow Christ. I mean, don't worry about, wondering what we're going to do this year. We got the whole Gospel of Matthew to struggle with. We're going to be looking at that question in all kinds of ways, and it's going to open our eyes, hopefully. I mean, after all, we've got to still do Lent. I know how Lent. Oh, wow. Lent is a tough season. But anyway, we got a lot to do. A lot of unlocking the words to do. But what I love about this text, I'm going to close with this. What did Jesus do? Who had the ultimate purpose, right? Salvation of the world. He does what we should do. He goes teaching and proclaiming the good news of God's reign and curing diseases, sicknesses. That's what you do. That's what you do. Following Christ means being courage for people, It means leaving the world a little better place than you found it. That's what it means. It means telling people about the love of Jesus and how it changed your life. It means inviting people to worship either in a location, setting, or toward the dawn, whatever kind of works for them, because we know that when we worship and we know when we hear the good news, it changes us, it comforts us, and it gives us peace. I mean, that's one thing I love about, the gospel. We're not selling something. We're just trying to make people's lives a little better. All we're doing. We're not trying to get notches on our gun, some accomplishment. Just trying to hope that something we say, something we do, will bring a little peace to somebody. That somebody's going to feel loved because of something we say, something we do. And we're hoping our world will just be a little better place because there's so much sadness out there. So many people struggling. We can't keep the good news of Jesus a secret. Jesus went everywhere, to everyone, with the good news of God's love and grace and hope. Did. And again, we're going to be spending a lot of time looking at it this year. We got a lot of work to do. Roll up your sleeves. But that's our purpose. Follow Christ. Catch people. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. I know I love giving them, and it honors me when you listen to them. It's helped me with my purpose to make life better for you with God's word. And to unlock the beauty of Scripture. It's just fabulous. All right. I'll see you at another podcast. God bless.